Hi everyone, and welcome to Rooted in Wellness, a cooking segment where we celebrate simple, nourishing food. I'm Executive Chef Joe Lyon, and today we're making Colcannon Potatoes, featuring potatoes from the Phoebe Organic Farm at Rodale. Let's jump in. Today we're going to do Colcannon Potatoes, a healthier take on a St. Patrick's Day classic, with only a few ingredients. We start with Yukon Gold potatoes, fresh Tuscan cow, some fresh minced garlic, some skim milk, and then we're going to use olive oil in place of the butter. For this recipe, you can use almost any kind of potato you want. Depending on the kind of potato you want would be how you proceed from here. We're going to use Yukon Gold. They're creamier, and when you use the baby ones, the skin's so thin you can leave the skin on. If you're using a thicker potato, just like an Idaho or a russet or even a red potato, you might want to take the skins off, or at least half the skins. So here we're just going to kind of quarter them and get them into a pot of boiling water. Traditionally, you would salt the water, but again, because we're looking at a healthier version, we're going to avoid the salt and look for other forms of seasoning. We're going to boil the potatoes for about 15 or 20 minutes. The smaller you cut them, the quicker they'll boil, but you'll be able to tell they'll get nice and fork tender, and then they'll be ready to mash. Traditionally, Colcannon potatoes have cabbage. We're going to substitute the cabbage with kale. Here we have a nice fresh Tuscan organic kale. We give it a light rinse. We want to make sure it's dry when it goes into the pan to avoid any splatter, or if you have a gas stove, it could lead to spark ups. Because we're going to saute it, because we don't need anything fancy, we're just going to kind of rough cut it. We want to keep it fairly small because you don't want giant chunks of the kale in the potatoes. And we also want to avoid using any of the stems on the bottom end. We just want this nice, tender, leafy green. The kale is a great source of antibiotics. It's great for anti-inflammatory. It's one of the vegetables we use all the time here at Phoebe. Once we get about 3 cups of kale chopped up, we want to go right into a pan. We're going to use olive oil here. Hot, but not smoky. So you get that little crackle of the kale, the moisture cooking out. We're going to saute the kale. It's going to take anywhere from 4 to 7 minutes. Again, we cut it pretty thin, so it should cook relatively quickly. Once it gets kind of moist, we're going to draw the moisture out. You can see the green starting to turn. In a second, we're going to add a little bit of fresh garlic. Here, going in with a little fresh garlic. So we'll add the fresh cracked pepper. And traditionally on St. Patrick's Day, this is a side dish, right? If you're having corned beef, or if you're having ham, once we finish, you'll see it's going to be hearty enough that if you were eating this as a vegetarian meal, it would certainly be a hearty enough dish with the kale, the potatoes. It's going to have the olive oil in it. Then as we finish this here, we're just letting the kale kind of render down, let the garlic cook. We keep it on medium heat the whole time. We don't want to overcook the kale. We don't want to draw out all the liquid to make the mashed potatoes runny. You can tell it's done. Once you get the green, you'll smell the garlic and you can see how green the kale kind of looks. Once we finish sauteing this and rendering this down, we'll take it over, we'll mix it with the potatoes, and we'll finish the dish. We get the potatoes right into the mixing bowl here. We're going to use a electric mixer. You can mash them by hand. You could use regular egg beaters. I like to mash the potatoes before you add any liquid or any seasoning or anything like that to it. And the reason being is that sometimes the butter, or in this case, we're going to use the olive oil, the fat coats the potatoes, and it can keep the actual liquid from incorporating in with the potato. So I'm going to mash this first. We're going to add a little bit of liquid, and then we'll pull it off of the bowl, and I'll delicately add the kale in. But when we add the milk, we want to make sure the milk's warm before we add it to the potatoes, so the potatoes don't seize and it doesn't cool your dish down. We'll also add the hot kale in as well, so we're not adding any cold ingredients to hot. And for about 5 pounds of potato, we use about 1 cup of milk. And you can tell as you're whipping it, the consistency of it. And remember, the kale's going to add moisture as well. Again, in place of butter, we're going to add the olive oil. We're going to add a few tablespoons in there, and it's going to give it a nice flavor. It's also going to add a little bit of that fat without adding any saturated fat that you get from butter. Okay, and now, like I said, we have a creamy consistency. We have the skins. We want it to be a little bit lumpy, not perfectly mashed, and certainly not lumpy enough where you would notice. And then we're going to add in our nice sauteed kale. We're going to fold this in. If it's a little bit tight, you can always add a little bit more olive oil. I got a lot of moisture from the cow, so I don't really need it, but again, depending on your potato, depending on where you're at. Right here, we get to the point where we're almost finished, and if you wanted to add in any optional ingredients or additions, now would be the time. Some nice additions would be minced chives, some chopped green onions, fresh parsley, any peppercorns, or even traditionally you would see nutmeg in the dish, so that would be a nice thing to add even right now. And there you have it, a fabulous, healthy St. Patrick's Day dish. Thanks for watching Rooted in Wellness. I'm Chef Joe Lyon, and remember to keep eating healthy.